I just, I had to play that to get your attention. And I want to thank Frank Vardaros for inviting me here with the Federation, Worldwide Trumpet Federation, and the Allegra Music Academy here in Tarzana, California. And I guess I'll start off by telling you a little bit about myself. I started playing trumpet when I was 9 years old. Mr. Johnson came around to our schools and he played all the instruments. This guy could play every instrument. And he did play the trumpet, and when he played the trumpet, I said, God, that's for me, man. That's the loudest one. So I was real happy about that. And I took up trumpet. The first day, they said, let's give a good mouthpiece buzz. So the buzz is the first thing that's the most important. And, you know, I kind of built up my chops in high school and passed up everybody. I challenged everybody. In my sophomore year, I challenged everybody all the way up to the first trumpet. And of course, the third trumpet players that sat behind me, they hated me, and they played right in the back of my head, and, you know, so I used to hate that. Well, when I graduated from high school, I got a scholarship to Los Angeles City College, which is in the Hollywood area. And a lot of the players in the local studios and local musicians in Hollywood would play in that band because it was real good charts. And this one musician, trumpet player, jazz trumpet player, Joe Hackney, had played with Cy Zentner's band. And I guess Cy Zentner was in town and they needed a lead trumpet player, and he recommended me. And I get a call at night and they asked me if I could play the Jingo Kiss-Off on the end of Up a Lazy River. So I said, well, I think so. It goes like, it's a little kiss on the end, you know, they had to put that little kiss. And I used to delay it sometimes for Cy Zentner, like a da 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 ba da, and I'd wait, and then do it, you know, and you get all ticked. But anyway, so I was, Cy Zentner asked me, he says, well, how are you with the draft? And I said, well, I'm 1A, which means they could take you anytime. He said, oh, don't worry, we'll try to get you out. So I traveling around to different cities for 8 months. Finally in Las Vegas, they caught up to me and they drafted me. And they took me that same day, you know, when I was out in Fort Ord, Shivner and Nicole. Fortunately, I was able to get in the band with it, and I had my trumpet. And I had my trumpet in Vietnam when I went to Vietnam for a year. And I mean, I had to do guard duty and patrol and other things too, but I did have my trumpet. So, I mean, I talk about one time I was, I know you don't want me to tell the story, but I like to tell the story. I was warming up out in the green line where the enemy was in Vietnam, and I'm playing my warm-up exercise. And they all go, woo, all the Pee-Pee's natives, and then I go, and they go, woo, and I said, oh, you guys must like high notes, huh? And they go, no, you turn so red. And I turned red, and I can't help it. But anyway, when I got back from Vietnam, they say that you should get your job back. You're supposed to get your job back that you had when you were drafted. Since I was drafted off Cy Zentner's band, I thought, well, I should get my job back. So I went to Las Vegas. I drove there. I bought a car, and I drove to Las Vegas. And I went down to Folies Bergère where the trumpet section was, and I said, hey, here I am. He goes, well, I'm happy with the trumpets I have right now. But he did give me 2 weeks in the Blue Room with Julie London. And they featured me in a little solo in Ebb Tide. It had a high G in it. And I got about 6 offers, of which I took one, which is a landmark house band, which I played for a year, and then went from there to the relief band, which was actually the best job in Las Vegas. You know, in those days it paid $500 a week, which it sounds like nothing.
What's a relief band?
Well, the relief band, it sounds like, oh, the poor guy works in the relief band. No, what it was is actually the best job in town. You took the place of the house band. The house band works 6 days a week, and on the 7th night, the relief band came in. So I played a different show every night.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, your sight reading gets really good. You can sight read anything, you know. So that's what happened. And then I ended up with Elvis Presley, which was you know, a lot of star policy thing. I took Pat Houston's place. Pat Houston was his lead trumpet player, died in an auto crash. And Elvis, you don't think of much with trumpets, but there was a lot of trumpet in Elvis, you know, the 2001 opening thing, and then all the trumpets playing the CC Rider. And but Elvis died. He died, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I moved back to Los Angeles, and Gus Klein and Manny Klein got me in the studios, and it helped me a lot. And I ended up doing a lot of the Academy Awards a couple times, and you know, and a lot of name dropping, and played with people. Then I got called to play with Sinatra, the old man, in 1984, and couldn't believe it. So I was on the West Coast. I was Frank Sinatra's lead trumpet player, and then he picked me up. Eventually, I traveled all over with Frank Sinatra and with his son. Especially after Frank died, another one died. Elvis and Sinatra, and now Frank Sinatra Jr. died. That was devastating. All of them just really devastating in my life. People dying, but now it's onward. And anyway, I want to talk about the trumpet that I ended up with, this Bach commercial trumpet. What they did was they tried to do everything that a lead sound would sound good on it, or commercial sound. What they did is it's bronze bell, which is kind of dead bell. There's no brace bar there. It's got a Motto water keys, which are less turbulence, and just what they designed it to do. But it's got a nice fat sound. Yeah, I'll play if you know. It's just got a huge sound on it, and the slots between G and high double C are all there, which for 25 years I played a Colicchio, then I played another Colicchio, and when I got up to high A, there was just a yodel note, and I skipped over it. So I want to talk about also the warm-up. Let's go into how I warm up. I've had the same warm-up now ever since Charlie Turner taught it to me at the University of Nevada. And it starts off just playing the scales. And all the way up. The idea is you start on the top note, go to the bottom note. It's like lifting a weight. It's like hard, hard, easy, relax, easy. And then you go chromatically up, A flat. And then always up to high C. And I go up to the E there because that's my top note. That high E is actually my top note until I move my bottom lip in. And that's what I wrote a book about it called Double High C in 10 Minutes. In 1980, when there was a musician strike and I needed money, so I wrote the book. But anyway, the secret is you bring your bottom lip in, kind of bury it. This is my regular embouchure. Just like that. And then bring in the bottom lip in. It's like pulling in a balloon. You're increasing the tension. And they're laughing, but that's what that embouchure does. Without that embouchure, I wouldn't be where I am today, because, for instance, you're playing New York, New York with Frank Sinatra, and at the end, it's a 3-pager, man. At the end, it's got a high F that they hold out forever. If I didn't have that embouchure, no way I could hold that up. It's just if somebody would have showed me that trick.
Can we see it sideways? Can you do the same thing? So the low and
yeah, you bring it in. Yeah, I call it low gear, high gear, and it definitely helps. And I mean, I wish that somebody could have showed that to me when I was a kid. You know, I'd be miles ahead. You know, but it definitely is for endurance. The other thing is you want accuracy exercise. You think of slots on a trumpet like slots in a pegboard. It's like you look at this. There's these holes, and it's like your muscle memory will make you hit that slot every time. When you if you want to hit a high F right on the button. you have to, so the exercise my teacher showed me was you start with a high C, not a low C, I mean. Take it away, and then go. Take it away, and all the way up. When you get to high C, then, then shift to that other embouchure, and start there. If you miss it, completely take it away. And then up, and then that's the way you develop your accuracy. So that's the accuracy exercise. And then the position of your throat is important. Your throat position. My first teacher said you should be smelling a rose backwards. And I said, what? Smelling a rose backwards? What's that? So he says, try it. And your throat opens. And you just do that in reverse out your mouth. And that's the thing. The same thing as when you're yawning, your throat is wide open. These guys that say, use syllables, ta, ti, ta, it's just, you're just going, and this is straight out. And of course, you want to concentrate on these muscles, your Maynard muscles, like Larry calls them. And if those are strong, and you have your core tight, these muscles are strong, so the air is going to come right out here, like Cat Anderson used to tell me. I took a lesson from Cat Anderson one time, and he says, you've got to hear the note, and the air has to come out one place only, and that's here, you know.
Well, who are some of your favorite lead trumpet players, like your idols?
I think Danny Barber, Conrad Gazzo, of course, and Wayne Bergeron. I like Wayne, you know. And one thing Wayne told me, he says, there's something to learn from everybody. And it's true. It's true. You should listen to everybody. Some will learn from Frank, some will learn from Bob. Some, you know, seriously, it's definitely, you should listen to people, what they have to say. And I picked up little things along the way, like the one-finger trumpet player. You guys see that one? The one finger?
No, show us.
That was Pat White in London showed me that, so I give him the credit. I hope he's online. But, let's see. Training your muscles, let's see. You know, it seems like trumpet is like a car that doesn't run the same every day. You know, one day it's like easy, and the next day it's not easy, but what you try to do is you try to over-practice. Practice so your chops are in shape, so you're confident when you go in, and it's true though, to make it in the music business, it takes really three things. First, it takes being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right people, and then it takes talent. When you get the job, you can keep it up, and then persistence. Don't give it up. Always keep it up, and don't make a lamp out of it if you're out of work for 2 weeks. In other words, so. But I've had a 50-year run, pretty much. I've been playing trumpet for 50 years, and I guess I do have something to say, you know, from that 50 years. So.
Tell us something about the Frank Sinatra gig that you did.
Well, first of all, it's the greatest music in the world. I mean, to compare that to Elvis's music. Elvis's music is brown colored, and this Sinatra's is rainbow colored. It's just plethora of colors, you know. And it was the greatest experience. That's, to me, is the ultimate gig, was that Sinatra. I don't see how it could get better than that, but it's gone now, and hey, we'll bring the music back. I hope so.
We have a question here. It's from Harrison Ball. He asks, what's your take on the angle of the trumpet in different octaves? As in starting at 90 degrees and going to like 86 for double high C?
You might want to restate that question.
Well, what's that?
Restate the question.
Yeah, he wants to know
what's your take on
with the
trumpet
angle,
angle?
the trumpet angle. Well, I always recommend this pistol grip that I think Maynard has that too. It's a pistol grip, and you're pulling the horn this way, which pushes into your bottom lip, which your bottom lip can take it more because it's more gristle and this is more muscle. So I hold it like this, and when I play, I kind of push down on this part of the trumpet so it bends it at that angle. But,
So there is an angle change.
But I'll tell you, if you see trumpet players in a section, and there's one guy that's just kind of slouched and playing, you know he's not playing that good. There's a stance you have to take, a posture, you know. And always take a full breath. Breathe in full, a 3-part breath, first from your groin, then from your stomach, then from your chest, like a yoga breath. Even if you're going to play soft. And you just, but you have to have a full column of air. And your body's an air compressor. You know? And that's what you're basically doing. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, can you show the pivot from an angle, what we're talking about?
It's like
It's
yeah,
slight.
but I know that I'm pushing on my bottom lip because it can take it. Against my bottom teeth. That's what I feel. But,
Saw a little something, yeah.
yeah. But that was always the thing, how I could hold it, the pistol grip. I think I put that in my book. Double IC.
Can you talk a little bit about your time with the Relief Band in Vegas? I mean, what you know, how did that happen? And
Well, it was a great gig until he got the Dunes, the Dunes and the Folie Bergère and the Stardust, which were 3 production shows. So one of the beautiful things about that gig was you didn't have to play production shows. You know, production shows are with the constant playing for 2.5 hours, whatever. It's just like you don't really get better endurance. You just learn how to play on sore lips. You know, so he did that, and he used his A band because he got to conduct Hay Gashaw, the conductor. So when that became 3 nights a week production shows, it wasn't that much fun anymore. And so I got an offer to go with, I don't put it on my resume, Wayne Newton. So, and so I went with Wayne Newton, and I played with him for a couple of years. And from that gig, I went to Elvis, from Wayne Newton to Elvis. But the Relief Band was an amazing gig. I don't think it's anymore. Do they have in Las Vegas? I don't think they do. It's just they go dark on one night, or they just don't have a band. Yeah.
wow.
So.
Mouthpiece. What kind of mouthpiece you play on?
Well, in 1966, before I went in the Army, I got this Colicchio mouthpiece. He made it for me, just a lathe, and he copied a 4-star K4 Proviance, and I've been playing on this ever since. So that's 51 years. You know, I have a couple of copies, but that's a Colicchio mouthpiece. It's semi-round, semi-flat, semi-deep, semi-everything. You know, so that's what he told me when he made it, semi-flat. But it's just my lips are used to it by now.
So what would you think the equivalent of it is?
I'd say like a Proviance 4-star K4.
Proviance.
Yeah, that's Bob Reeves puts out those, I think, Proviance mouthpiece. But you know, I want to emphasize that 99 9/10% of the money on trumpet is below high C. And just the high notes, they do, people's ears perk up, and the fact that not all trumpet players can do it, and they think of it as the quickest draw in the West or something, it's like, you know, a challenge thing, and it does seem like the guy that can play the highest is the first player. It does seem like that. But it shouldn't necessarily be, because we all want to speak the language. It's called music. This is a language, and it's how you speak it. And, you know, and I've taught this method of the high gear method to a couple of guys, and I've had them come up and demonstrate it to me, and I said, hey, cut that out, man, stop. They come blow out double C right in your face. It's like, hey, don't do that. You know, nobody likes it, really. So, you know, you have to pick and choose your high notes when they're appropriate or when they're called for. Keep them in your back pocket. Nobody really wants it, especially when you're warming up. And you know, so. Any other questions coming in?
Yeah. Talk about different styles of lead trumpet playing.
Different styles of music. I recommend that you turn on the FM radio and just change it to the classical station, play along with that. Ear training, turn the jazz station, play with that. Turn the country station, turn on, you know, every kind of music, the rock, and that way you develop styles and ear training for intonation and styles. But as far as lead playing, I think Conrad Gazzo was the person I tried to copy the most, and just by that big, fat sound that you always hear above the whole band. Just that much bigger than, that much above the whole band. You know, and sometimes the sound man can help you out, you know, and of course, John Trudell, when he was playing with Paul Anka one time, I couldn't believe it. He was playing that Jubilation over and over and over, da 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 da. And I asked him, I said, how do you do it? And he says, 2 pounds of ground round. It's a good one. 2 pounds of ground round. I get it. Crazy. But I played in a circus one time, Ringling Brothers Circus, where it was so much playing that I had to play over to the side of my mouth this way when I'm playing second, and over here, and then play. I had to just get a sound of it. You really didn't get better endurance. You just get sore lips, you know. So,
Any stories about Birth of the Blues?
Birth of the
With
Blues,
Lionel
yeah.
Hampton, great
Well,
seeing that on YouTube.
When I first saw Cat Anderson do that, I think it was at the Stardust Lounge in Vegas, played Birth of the Blues up an octave. I laughed. I said, that's impossible. How could you do that? And then years later, I found myself, and the solo is just written out in the low octave. It's not written, it doesn't say go up an octave. But I had heard Cat do it, so it's, I can do it again, but I can't get the E anymore. I can do the D, I think. Should I try that in front of everybody?
Why not?
That's it. You talk so well.
You are pretty red.
But the E is, I probably could hit it, but I don't want to hurt myself. I'm almost 70 years old, man. So, yeah, well, anyway, Lionel Hampton, he made me do that, and then he'd make me do it again. And if I did it the second time, he'd make me do it again until I couldn't do it. And that was always his thing. He was, I don't know what he was, he had a lot of little quirks, this guy. Lionel Hampton. Well, I mean, we used to have bow lessons. 1, 2 down, 1, 2 up, you know. And he'd always make you wait for your check. He signed every check. He'd make you wait in line after the gig, you know. Okay. And if he knew you had somebody out in the audience, one time we played at the Lighthouse, and I invited all my neighbors' family, and he knew I introduced him before. Hey, this is Lionel Hampton. He met him. He didn't feature me the whole night. And then I had talked to Frankie Dunlop, the drummer. He says, oh yeah, if he knows you got somebody out there, he's not going to feature you. So yeah, all these quirks, man. But basically Frankie Dunlop did a perfect Lionel Hampton impression. But that was fun playing on that band.
Brand, Mr. Evans, I don't understand your question about, no, it's Lou, actually, Lou Gonzalez. How, is there a way to view this event? Are you not seeing it now? Can you hear me?
Lou Gonzalez?
Lou Gonzalez, ask him if...
Can you see the event, Lou? No.
That's strange. He's having trouble getting on?
I don't know.
But
Any more questions there, Frank, or should we?
I was going to put a plug in for this book that I practice every day. It's called 44 Magnum Drills by Mitch Jelen. And I play 7 of those every day after breakfast. And I, put a little high notes in there too, but it's, this guy, Mitch Jelen, he played with the Light Opera Company, and he only played 3 days a week, so he needed some way to keep his chops up, so he invented these exercises that are very good. So I recommend it. 44 Magnum Drills by Mitch Jelen.
Can you play one of them from memory at this point?
It just goes.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know the whole thing. But, what was I gonna say about, I was crossing Sunset Boulevard years ago when I was doing the salute show, the Dick Clark salute show at KTLA. And I dropped my case in the street, my Reunion Blues bag. And when I got there, my second valve wouldn't go down. And I said, hey man, somebody's gotta make a better case than this. So I checked it out and I started making cases, and that's how I got into that case company. But I just wanted to go into that, but I did that for 31 years, and they're out there. I have one here. No longer making trumpet cases, so I was able to get out of that.
Did you ever work with Johnny Madrid?
Okay, Johnny Madrid, and first time when I was in high school, they, you know how you play charge in the band, da 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 da. Well, I was just playing it up an octave, da 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 da, up to high G and stuff. And I heard this guy from the opposite band, Montebello High School band, he did it too, up the octave. It's like, whoa, what, you know? So, and I was president of my band, and he was president of his band, and that's the first time I met John Madrid. But I got him on a couple of those Sinatra tours, and I formed a band one time called Blast, Best Los Angeles Section of Trumpets, BLAST. I mean, that's a corny name. But it was John Madrid, Rick Baptist, Joe Davis, and myself. And 4 lead players. Man, and John Madrid, on this one song, he hit a B above double C. You know, he had, it was crazy range. But now John Madrid, he pouted. He put his top lip inside where I put my bottom lip inside. Now Chuck Finley and Arturo Sandoval, I know that they bring both lips in when they go up high. So there's a different system, but.
Was Johnny upstream
John,
like Joe up?
I guess, but he put a bottom lip out, and he could hit a triple high C and hold it out. You know, crazy. It didn't sound real. I mean, it sounded like a bird whistle, you know? But it's funny. And Bud Brisboy, he could do that too. He hit a triple C.
That's what they're asking. Did you work with Bud?
And I was just going to say, I didn't work with Bud, but I sat next to him, of all things, when I was 19 years old at a Maynard concert. I sat right next to Bud Brisboy, and I was talking to him all the time, and he said, you got to bring my band in here. I'm going to bring my band in here. That's all I can say. Because Maynard was having an off night, that night. And I requested, when I went up to Maynard to request a song, let's say I was 19 years old, I requested Danny Boy. You know, and he played the double C. He turned purple when he did it, but he played it. You know, he wasn't having it too good a night, but it was just great to see him. But Bud Brisboy.
What year was that?
That was 1966. Well, let's see, I'm or 65 maybe. Yeah, Bob Tyrrell and I went to see that. Yeah, it was at the Playboy Club. I had to get special permission to go in from my aunt. She was a member.
Because you had to be 21?
Yeah. Maynard was there. Radar was in the band, Don Radar. Yeah, that was great.
Somebody wrote, I love the cases, still using them.
Good.
Can people buy them still? Or?
No. Well, maybe. eBay. Yeah, they're great cases, and I'm proud of all the ones I made, and I'm not, I have no regrets. I have no regrets, and it was a good thing, but I got out of it in time. I wasn't making that much money, but I just supplied some good cases for a lot of people. Maynard had my cases. Freddie Hubbard, Arturo, name dropper.
Yeah.
I got it. Bob Chesney has one of my cases. I think. Yeah, that's right. So, well, what else is happening out here? We have.
All right, guys, now's the time to ask questions if you got them. Hello? Mark Van Cleve, you're out there. Why don't you ask a question? Can they hear me?
One thing I wanted to talk about is Lanny Morgan told me. He says, you trumpet players, you all hate each other. And we don't, but I know what he means. And I think it starts in high school or when you're in school and you challenge the guy next to you. Your teacher takes you and he says, play this. And he tells the other guy, you play this, and he judges you right there, which one plays it better in tune and, you know, the right time and everything. And so what if that guy gets nervous and he chokes up, he's a better player, but you pass him up and he hates you after that, or not hates you, but he doesn't like that. So it's the only system. I know we all went through it. You went through it, right, Frank, from high school?
Sure.
That you challenge your way up, and there's got to be a better way to do it that doesn't create that animosity. And there's always only one first trumpet player. You know, you can't be first, and you know, it's his first, and everybody wants to be that, I guess. And, you know, the first trumpet player. But how do you choose that? It's either politics, or you play better, or you play higher, or I mean louder. I'm not sure. It's just, yeah.
How many lead trumpet players does it take to change a light bulb?
Yeah. Somebody, well, there's two
To
questions
play a
now.
song, how many lead players it take to play a solo? One, and the other is to say, I could play it better.
Yeah. One question here, did you ever work with Bobby Shue?
I did. That's interesting. Yeah.
Bobby
Yeah,
Shue.
he was lead player on Louis Belson's band when I was on that band. And for a while then I became lead. And Bobby Shue was actually on Haig's band. He was the fourth added man trumpet player in that band. He's a marvelous player.
Cool. Sometimes, this is a technical question, sometimes, mostly in the morning, my throat seems to almost close off, more so as I ascend, and I can't seem to put any air through the horn.
Well, try that, what I'm talking about. Try putting all your fingers in your mouth and see what happens. Your throat opens all the way. And just your muscles in your throat have a memory. So the muscle memory will help you just try to envision you putting your fingers in your mouth while you're playing your trumpet. And it gets a bigger sound. But open your throat. But don't use syllables is what I would recommend.
Mark Van Cleve said, discuss the recording of the Chase Watch Closely Now album.
Oh, yeah. When I showed up there, I was the only guy that was not, I showed up in Chicago, and I was the only guy that was not on the original Chase record. There was all the guys that were on the Get It On song were there to do this album called Watch Closely Now. And we start the rehearsal, and they're kind of like, oh, are you the screech player? Kind of like, yeah, you know, and that treated me kind of cold. The very first, you can hear it on the album, it's called Watch Closely Now, it's the name of the song. It's a figure that starts in a B natural in the staff, ba-ba, 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 ba-la-la-la-la-la, all the way up to a high A. And at the rehearsal, I nailed it the first time. And the guys said, hey man, where are you from? Hey, yeah, like, yeah, how you doing? Yeah, so it's just, you have to earn respect. But that's how that started. And I know that there was a lot of people in and out of that control room when we were playing that thing. One of the best double high Ds ever recorded is on a song called Words on that album.
Was that album ever released?
Oh yeah, yeah, on Churchill Records, which is
What is it?
Churchill Records.
Churchill
but
Records.
it's on the internet. You can get it. Actually, 3 times in my life I've recorded a double high D that I'm really proud of. One was at the end of Hound Dog and Elvis Presley's live concert, and one was on the Pointer Sisters live at the Opera House on the end of Let It Be Me. You got to hear that one. And the other one was on that Watch Closely Now album, a song called Words that Terry was singing on.
Could you talk about Bob McDonald and LACC? You were on one of the Mr. Mac's favorites.
Yeah, Bob McDonald was our teacher at LA City College, and as a matter of fact, we did the Hollywood Bowl production band back in 1965 or 66, and I was on that. And I played lead trumpet on the production band, Bob McDonald. But he was a marvelous player. Years later, I was at John Madrid, and I drove up to see him. Living there after he retired, he was half paralyzed. I saw Bob McDonald, and he had a stroke, and he was with a walker. But it was great to see him, and we got to tell him we were both on a Sinatra tour, going up to San Francisco. And we stopped to see him. That was a great moment. But LA City College was a great place for musicians, for commercial musicians to get an education, because it was so close to Hollywood and all the people mixed in there. I'm glad I went there. That's where I started.
Did you have a private teacher?
Yeah, I had Jane Sager in Hollywood, on Selma. I used to drive down there. And she's the one that kind of opened my eyes to the high note thing. I didn't know that you could do that. And she also to the breathing. You know, that she had diaphragm, tightened my diaphragm, and then I had Charlie Turner when I got out of the Army. I enrolled in the University of Nevada, and Charlie Turner, Frank Sinatra's lead trumpet player, was my teacher. And he actually showed me a lot of things too. So,
One guy wrote, Dan Jacobs, you know him?
sure.
He said, I've got to leave, but one of my best memories of playing with Walt is when you guys played with Frank Sinatra Jr. at the Soaring Eagle in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
He said you were awesome, and you're his inspiration.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure playing with you. Hope we get to do it again someday, but I sure do miss Frank. Yeah, we all do. We all do. That was really tough.
Want to play something for us? Play something else? Melody, anything?
I'll play a little Freddie Hubbard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some other questions here, but
Oh, should I show them the soft tone mute? This is a mute that I warm up in, and Ira Nepis, trombone player here in LA, invented this thing. I wish I invented it. But it's great for hotel practice. I even told Maynard about this when he was alive.
oh, here's a question for you. Was it you that played the solo on Luck Be a Lady, the shout chorus?
Not on the record.
Not on the record. Okay.
Not on the record. It was Bud Brisboy on the record. I was too young for that. I had to play it a lot. It's
Yeah, Walt.
so anyway, yeah, I had to play that a lot. But Brisboy played on the album. Yeah. But that was an awful. It's a challenge every night. I think, oh God, I got to play that. I got to play that. You know, so you got to keep your chops up.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say the soft tone mute though. This thing for hotel practicing, this thing saved me, because you know how loud that was. But listen, when you put this on. Not as loud.
Well, guys, if there's any more questions, if not, we're going to finish up. So we're going to let Walt play. If we have any more questions, ask now or forever hold your peace. The broadcast will be archived, so you'll be able to watch it again, and maybe we'll look through the, oh, here's a question. Josh Barling, I had to have my front teeth replaced last year and have been struggling to get my range back. Is there something you would suggest?
And if they try that, bringing your bottom lip in, I'm telling you, that's the big change, your bottom lip. And also, there's an exercise that Larry talks about, and it was the Cat Anderson, and I incorporate it into my practicing. It's called the Whisper G method. I call it. Cat Anderson, when he was 14 years old in high school, everybody played better than him, and he had to develop something. So he found this way, but who knows, he's down in Louisiana. He found this way to, and the way I approach it, I hit the highest note I can hit, and then bring that embouchure down to a G in the staff, and hold that out for as long as you can. You can take a breath, but keep your embouchure, breathe in. So I just, and just hold that note out, and after a while you'll feel these muscles without using the pressure, but you have to go high. It's actually no pressure, and these muscles get developed right here, and it's called the Whisper G method. As a matter of fact, Greg Gisberg and Walter White, they had this CD of different chords that you could play a G and F concert, and make it easy so you could play for 20 minutes. And it really worked on those guys. Those guys are incredible chops, you know, Walter White. So that Whisper G, I think you even tried it, Frank, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit? It works.
We're trying it, yeah.
So yeah, that's may help, and definitely bringing your bottom lip in. And if you have to adjust, you find what works for you. Wherever the air moves the freest and the tone is the purest, that's where your slot is. You find that.
His teeth are different, so it feels different now, right?
Yeah, he's got to develop the muscle memory again. But I'm just saying that the lip position might change too. It might help him. Hope that helps.
The Whisper, going back to the Whisper G, when you're practicing it, are you closing your teeth when you do it, or no?
It doesn't feel like, it feels like you're setting for high embouchure. Like let's say you hit a high G, just hit the high G and then drop down using that same embouchure and just play a G in the staff. You can't really play a good note because you've got the setting, but the muscles are the same muscles. They're using the compression, you know, compressing the air.
And how often do you do that?
Every day. But I don't do 20 minutes. I'd say I do a couple minutes on it, to be honest. But if I did, I could maybe have chops like Cat Anderson. He was unbelievable.
He said thank you. He's going to try that.
Okay. I did take a lesson from Cat Anderson one time. I went over to his house, $35, because I was having trouble hitting the B flat. And he said, "You're not hearing the note." And I said, "I can hear it." And I said, "Would you take my trumpet and my mouthpiece and see if you could?" So I gave it to Cat, and he played a B flat, and I said, "Dang, it's not the trumpet then. It's not. It was." He said, "I wasn't hearing it." So that was it. And I actually asked Maynard Ferguson at a clinic if he about the B flat, and he said, "Have you ever hit it before?" I said, "Well, yeah." He said, "Well, then there's no reason in the world you couldn't hit it again." So but now the B flat. It's there. No problem. You know.
Did you ever meet or play with Wes Hensel?
Yes.
When you were in
Yes.
Vegas?
I'm trying to think what hotel he was at in Vegas. Was it the Flamingo, or might have been? But yeah, Wes Hensel, good player. What was he with? Woody Herman at one time? Or somebody? Yeah, sure, Wes Hensel.
I think so.
I played with everybody. 50 years, you name it. But I never met Paul Human or Conrad Gazzo, but I heard of him. Yeah. It was before my time.
Well, do you have any closing statements?
Just, the thing is, with the high notes, which everybody might take away something that's my forte a little bit, I guess, and is that keep them in your back pocket. You know, high notes are to be played only when they're written or appropriate. And, you know.
Work on the other music a lot.
Yeah, work on speak the language of music. That's above and all the language. It's a beautiful language. It's how you speak it. You know, that's the difference between somebody playing a solo and somebody else playing the solo. You can tell the difference. This guy speaks language. You know, so that's what I did. And I really thank you for having me here, and hope you guys have success with this academy here and the Worldwide Federation.
Yeah, we want to thank Walt Johnson, and thank you, and so everybody's saying thank you for broadcasting. I only got to hear 10 minutes. Well, it will be archived. You guys can be able to view the whole thing as soon as we're done. It'll post up on the page, and we can still read comments and questions too. So we appreciate you all being out here, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Walt. Well, thank you, Walt Johnson.
All right.
That's right.